IRC Media brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Board Report. We've got a great guest on tonight. Right, John?
Yeah, no, I love that new intro that Mike made, too. That was really good. That's
That
nice.
is so good. It's rocking.
Yeah, right. Good job, Mike.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
Mike.
we got a good crew in the green room. Who we got tonight, Joanne?
We've got Thomas McNamara, and he is a real estate broker with EXP Realty, bringing over a decade of industry expertise and a professional pedigree rooted in the Fortune 500 to the conversation. By combining corporate financial discipline with deep local market knowledge, Thomas tracks the legislative tax reforms that maintain Florida's status as a premier destination for residents and investors alike. He joins us today to break down the latest policy shifts in Tallahassee, which I love, and what they mean for the real estate landscape in 2026. I really love that because I used to go to Tallahassee. It's been over a year, but I used to go up there to meet with our legislators as a citizen lobbyist, to speak for the bills that really affect us down here on the ground.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm got a lot of questions about it. Like we were saying earlier before the show, there's some confusion in a lot of the bills with the tax reform, and and
Mhm.
hopefully that we can get that ironed out on this show. And I think this will be a great opportunity for Tom to do that for us.
Yeah, yeah. So everybody, stick around. We also have Kevin McDonald joining us today, and at the panel, and they're going to have some questions too. And Mike Bolak, he's going to come on board as well, and we'll have some questions for our guest, Thomas McNamara. So let's move on to the commercial, and we'll be back with everybody.
There's a kind of strength you can't buy or borrow. It's born in the fire, tempered by ice, and carried by those who never stopped serving. Some heroes wear uniforms. Others wear scars. They're veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families. Men and women who gave everything and still keep giving. At the Warrior Shield Foundation, we stand beside them, shoulder to shoulder, providing the support, the care, and the community they deserve. We're a proud nonprofit, a 501c3, built to protect those who protect us. We don't just serve our own. We help other nonprofits reach their missions too, because together, we make the Shield stronger. Donate and help our cause, help their cause, because every act of kindness builds hope where the battle still rages inside. Join the mission. Donate today. Visit warriorshield.org. Because heroes deserve a foundation as strong as their sacrifice.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Board Report. We've got Kevin McDonald with us, Thomas McNamara, and John Karapi. Hello, everyone.
What's up, guys?
Hello.
Good evening.
Well, Thomas, thank you for joining us today. You're going to bring us some really great information about the tax information that everybody is so confused about here in Florida.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I was confused for a long time, and I'm getting up to speed really, really quick, and driving a lot of conversations.
Yeah. So tell us what's going on with this, DeSantis talking about no tax on, if you own your home, you don't pay tax. How is this all going to work out? There's so many people that say, it's Florida needs that money.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to pay as little tax as we possibly can, right? But at the same time, we do need a somewhat effective government. So there's always that push pull and that balance, and so, the interesting thing is DeSantis came up with this and said, hey, no property tax on homestead properties, right? So if you own a home, if you're in your home, you shouldn't have to pay property tax to the government. You shouldn't pay rent to the government, right?
Hmm.
Well, unfortunately, DeSantis doesn't get to write legislation, right? He gets to talk about what he wants to do. He ultimately gets to sign legislation, but he doesn't get to write it. So he's empowered a commission, a committee to come forward and come up with with what they're specifically going to propose, and none of them are proposing what he said.
Hmm.
They're all proposing either a lot less or a lot more, and a lot more is almost a non-starter. And I think it's thrown up there to show, maybe to say, hey, this is going to be impossible, right? And a lot less is really just table scraps.
Yeah.
So what are these bills really? What's the? It sounds like there's two bills or two proposals. So
There's
what?
two main proposals. There's about 13 total proposals, believe it or not. But there's two main proposals. The first one is HJR 201. So HJR 201 is the total elimination of only non-school homestead taxes. So if you look at your tax bill, there's typically three sections on a tax bill here in Florida. You got your city and county taxes, you got your school taxes, and you got your non-ad valorem taxes, which is what's paid for as fees, right? Non-ad valorem being not at value, right? So everybody pays the same for garbage, let's say, right? Whereas other things are based on the value of your home, including school. So this bill, HJR 201, would only eliminate the non-school portion for homestead folks. The benefit of that, everybody would get about a 50% tax cut on their homestead. The downside is if you don't pay it, you still get a lien. They still, take your property in a couple of years, and you're still out of the streets, right?
Right.
So that kind of sums up HJR 201 for me. Um, it's not bad, but it's not what DeSantis wants, right?
Mhm.
And then the other one that hit on December 17th comes from a guy named Ryan Chamberlain, a representative. Um, his is total abolition, 100% of all property taxes for everything: homestead, rentals, second homes, vacation homes, commercial property, everything. And the you know, obviously that sounds great, but it's $60 billion that needs to be found, or at least a significant chunk of that to be replaced. And the way that they're talking about replacing it, it's HB 791 is the House bill. HB 791 would actually raise sales tax from 6% to 9%, right? So the state is at 6%. It would raise it to 9. If you live in a county that adds on 1 or 1.25 or whatever, you're going to pay that too, right? But the state would raise it up to 9% for sales tax. And the real kicker is they're adding a real estate transaction fee, right? There, and that transaction fee is 5% of the value of the home.
Oh wow, that's
Wow.
And
easy.
yeah, so you got a $400,000 house, right?
Or
And you sell it, you're going to pay 20 grand,
yeah,
right? Which, hey, listen, if I'm not paying property taxes, that might work out. But how long do I have to hold on to my home before it makes sense, right? And the real issue for me is they're not even talking about phasing that in. So it would be, if you sell your house on December 31st of 2026, you would pay zero. January 2nd, 2027, you pay 5%. So you've already paid all this property tax coming up, and you still get to pay the giant fee.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Now, what's that? What wasn't there a proposal that said we would get a rebate back too if they just got rid of the taxes? There would be a rebate to the homeowners as well. I know DeSantis mentioned that.
So he mentioned a rebate. Again, there's no specific legislation that I've seen yet that actually codifies that in any way. But there's tons of other like supplemental bills or side bills that they're talking about. There's one that would actually, instead of eliminating homestead, it would phase out over 10 years, right? Basically increasing the your homestead deduction $100,000 a year every year until it's up to $1 million,
Right.
which that would get rid of property taxes, or at least again the non-school for most people, right? It would keep the wealthier with the more expensive homes still paying, but most everybody would get a break. There's one out there that only does it for a senior citizen, 65 or older. Um, there's one that does changes it to 25% of your assessed value. Instead of it being 50,000 or 100,000, it's actually a percentage of value. So there's all kinds of ideas they're floating around out there. There's a bunch of other ones. But the two that I mentioned at first, those are the two that are getting the most serious traction.
that's crazy
Hmm.
because the full abolition, I was thinking more along the lines of saying if your house is paid off, then you don't pay any property taxes because pretty much you don't own your house, it's mortgaged, you know. Uh,
Well, so yeah, a lot of people say that. I disagree with that. I don't think that debt should have anything to do with it. Right. So if you think about it, and I get the
you
idea, right?
don't
It's like,
own
hey,
the
I
title. You don't own the
well
title,
understand.
so it's
I'm
paid
saying
off.
the debt shouldn't have any idea. Well, in Florida, we own our title, right? We just have a debt. We have a lien on it, but we do own the title. We're a title theory state. So, um, but the thing about the debt no debt thing is, hey, listen, I get it. If you've paid off your mortgage, you're 60 years old, and we don't want you to have to pay taxes anymore. Well, that's great, but what if I need to borrow some money because a family thing, or I'm going to put my grandkid through school, and I go and borrow $100,000? Now I got to pay property taxes because I put debt on it because it's not
Exactly.
paid off. That doesn't make sense to me,
That's a good
right?
point.
So to me, it's more about just the structure of the person. Whether they do it for senior citizens, I get that, right? That's cool. Or if they do it for everybody, homestead, I like that as well. I don't think the nuclear option of getting rid of it for every single, and I would benefit if they cut property taxes. I own a bunch of rental property. I'd probably save $40,000 a year in property taxes if they got rid of it. I just don't think that's the right thing to do because they're going to find other ways to get it from us.
Well, that makes sense too, because it would be like businesses,
Mhm.
that's where the focus should be, to be earning a lot of your taxes from businesses, not from the people, but from businesses. So your rentals would be an extra income that would be a business, you know.
Absolutely, and especially out of state businesses. A lot of these large hedge funds, which I don't know what the number is across the whole state, but the big institutional hedge funds, they own 15% of all the rental property in Tampa. And I imagine in other markets it's very similar, right?
Mhm.
So, that would be a lot of money that would not benefit Florida in any way because those companies are out of state.
So has anybody even brought that up, those other options, to really put forward?
Yeah, again, Ron DeSantis is leading the charge, and Blaise Ingoglia, the CFO. Those two together are really pushing for the reform to be strictly about homestead properties and not everything.
I
Mhm.
would agree with that.
Absolutely.
It sounds like they aren't starting from a basis of what is a proper principle to fairly and evenly distribute the costs of running the state, and then a common sense way to apportion that depending upon certain standard consistent principles. They're going the other way. They say we got a bucket of money. Let's dump the bucket out. Let's find somebody else who's got money and fill it with their money. There's not a principled, a common sense approach to how this budget should be recreated.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've worked with and for the government for a chunk of my life. I did serve in the military, and there's one thing I can tell you is principled and common sense are not government ideals. So
Agree? Should be.
So,
You
Thomas,
know,
if
it
and
should
you
be.
if you were to say there was a perfect or close to perfect solution, because we know we don't live in a perfect world, what would you, if you could advise whoever writes the bills, what would your solution be?
Yeah, my solution is exactly what Ron DeSantis is saying. Let's get rid of homestead taxes on, or let's get rid of property taxes for homesteads only. The replacement is where the maybe the ambiguity could be. It doesn't have to be that much. It's somewhere between 14 and 18 billion dollars, which sounds like a lot of money, but in a hundred and you know
Mhm.
$125 billion budget, it's a percentage. They've already found $2 billion in waste just going after 11 different cities and counties.
Wow.
um, there's five more on the books that are coming up in the next couple months that are being investigated. And I mean, we have 67 counties. I don't know how many cities there are, right? But I know there's like six big ones, right? And then you've got a lot of small ones. And
Mhm.
they're finding waste everywhere. So they could find
Oh,
legitimately $10 billion in waste. And
easily.
so then you only have another five or six, 7 billion to find, right?
Mhm.
In maybe some extra revenue. So do we have to deal with a 7% sales tax? That's fine. I don't care. The 9% doesn't even bother me. That 5% exit tax is a
That's
non-starter.
Yeah.
horrible. Yeah.
And then you're
Well,
still
don't are we
guilty.
running a surplus? Sorry, John. Are we running a surplus,
Yeah.
tax
We
surplus
are
currently?
We are, but it's not that much. It's a billion, 2 billion, 15, 16 billion would be quite a bit. We do have
Okay.
there is a nice rainy day fund of around $15 billion that's built up, right? And I appreciate that. I like that I live in a state that's reasonably fiscally responsible, and I'm glad to see that people are digging in and making it more so.
Mhm.
That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So like Sessions is coming up too. Sessions is I think what the 17th and 18th or the 20th and 21st, something like that.
Starts on the 13th.
Oh, it's the 13th. So it's
The 13th starts the
Tuesday.
session. Whether or not they're going to be in session, all the different dates that they have, but session starts on the 13th of January, ends on March 13th.
So that's a good time for us to start writing to our state representatives to really push this for, but that's still not a perfect bill over there because he wants to abolition everything. So they would need to write another bill and then have it approved in the committee to merge with that other bill.
Correct. Correct. So, they are, I mean, there are like there's a new one that just came up on January 8th that I'm just now reading about. I haven't even dug into this one yet. But it removes ad valorem taxes on personal property, right? So that would be more for businesses and things like that. Um, there's one that's specifically just to roll back rates. So to go back to every city and say, hey, you have to go back to 2022 rates, right? So, I mean, there's tons of things that are still happening. So we have an opportunity to get our voices in there, be heard, right? And really, if we just echo what DeSantis is saying, there's a good chance that you can get everybody behind it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree.
Hmm. Now, do you go up to, will you be attending sessions this year?
I have never done that. I have never been that involved in government process before, but I am seriously considering it. So get back to me on that.
Yeah, well, if you want to get involved, I could recommend the Republican Liberty Caucus. They go every year, and that's what they do is they focus on the bills. And I know they have this one on their agenda as well.
Awesome.
And they
Yeah,
go up
please
and
do
they
that. Please
lobby as a
please send it
group.
my way.
Yeah. So does anybody have any more questions?
No, not really. I mean, and the bottom line is people have to speak up. They have to get their get their
Mhm.
voice heard and really understand get past the confusion and listen to shows like this to where they understand and get educated on what it's all about and how we can make sure that we get what we ask for. And it makes a lot of sense. And like you said, I'm sure they're going to find a lot more waste, fraud, and abuse all over these other counties if they only hit a certain few. They're going to keep finding more and more money that they're going to be able to make up the difference.
I'll tell you what, I think
Tom,
this
do
is,
you know?
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. As I said, Tom, have you heard any scuttlebutt as to what started this train of thought in DeSantis's office? I mean, it's a pretty dramatic change, and possibly ruin, maybe not. But I'm wondering what spurred it in the first place.
I'll throw my conspiracy theory hat on. It's not really a conspiracy theory, but I'm pretty confident DeSantis is going to run for president, and I think he's we know he's not going to be governor, right? So I think he's using this as a catalyst to drive like who he is, right? Like, hey, I'm the guy that's going to cut your taxes. Look what I did in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah. And I don't care. I'll take it, right? I don't care why. So,
I agree with you there, but I like what he's doing.
yeah, I can't disagree.
I'm not going to argue with that, and I like what he's done with Florida.
Yeah, I mean, obviously nobody, as you said earlier, we're not in a perfect world and nobody's perfect, and he has his issues. But overall, I say he did a darn good job, taking this state in the right direction for the most part. And he's even done some really cool stuff that folks on the left really can't argue about with when it comes to the environment. He's restoring the Everglades, doing quite a bit down there, spending a lot of money, right? But I think he's doing it in a responsible way.
Yeah, he sure is. I mean, it's been great having him as a governor of Florida. So, hey, the elections are coming up. We've got a whole series of people to look at. There's like 20 candidates on the list.
Wow.
I haven't even started looking at who's coming up on that list.
Right.
Oh, it's huge. It's a huge list. There's people on there I've never even heard of that are stepping.
You have to understand. You have to understand the reason people run. There's 20 people run, and all 20 of them don't necessarily think they're going to get elected. But that's the process you take to get name and exposure and to have people consider you for something else or the next iteration. So it's a dog and pony show, fashion show.
It is. You're absolutely right. That's how to get your name out there and have people recognize it. So when you try to run for something again or run for that again, it's more familiar to people because people vote for who they know or what they're familiar with.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Thomas, thank you so much for joining us. That was good information, and we can leave off on that. And we're going to take a break for the commercial. Everybody, that's Thomas McNamara. Do you want to tell them where they can find you?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at the Florida Real Estate Insider and on the internet at themcnamaraexperience.com.
Nice.
Perfect. All right, so let's head over to the next commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you.
There's a kind of strength you can't buy or borrow. It's born in the fire, tempered by sacrifice, and carried by those who never stopped serving. Some heroes wear uniforms. Others wear scars. They're veterans, first responders, and Gold Star families. Men and women who gave everything and still keep giving. At the Warrior Shield Foundation, we stand beside them, shoulder to shoulder, providing the support, the care, and the community they deserve. We're a proud non-profit, a 501c3, built to protect those who protect us. We don't just serve our own. We help other non-profits reach their missions too, Because together, we make the shield stronger. Donate and help our cause. Help their cause. Because every act of kindness builds hope where the battle still rages inside. Join the mission. Donate today. Visit warriorshield.org. Because heroes deserve a foundation as strong as their sacrifice.
There we go. We're back.
Hey guys.
I love that new thing.
I know. I made it a little quicker too, so it's not so dragged out. How you doing, Kevin? I keep calling you Thomas.
That's a compliment.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Thomas is a smart guy.
Yeah, he is. I mean, all you guys are for coming here, especially to give us your opinion, but just in general, we appreciate the wisdom you guys bring to the show, and even the questions on the stuff that we don't expertise in, like the real estate and stuff like that. I'm still skeptical as to where we go in entirely after property taxes. It's just the way these counties spend and spend. Where are you coming up with what $96 million to fund the sheriff's department along with everything else?
Yeah, exactly.
The NGO money doesn't add up. Like,
It doesn't.
okay, you save on the NGO money, but still you still haven't replaced tax revenue. Maybe not all of it, but still you're going to have to be more friendly to business and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And we know our county's not very friendly to business unless you're a storage facility
Or
or
a car wash.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, not a car wash going in.
Yeah, storage facility, car wash, what else?
Or
Gas station.
Yeah.
Islamic centers.
Islamic centers. Yeah, right.
that too,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, Joanne's been all over that. There's stuff going on in our backyard, right, Joanne?
Yeah, there is stuff going on. So I was dabbling into it. I finally got an interview with Venkatesh, and he
Hmm.
is a Hindu. And remember when Chandler Langevin got in trouble for speaking up about the H-1B visas? Well, all of the 400 investors, the Indian investors, came over on H-1B visas, and they pooled their money together, and that's what they're doing. The land banking is they can pool their money together and buy these properties at dirt cheap prices and make a profit by selling them back to the Americans for inflated prices. And then they're gathering that money because they want to build communities that are just Indian communities. So in a sense, they're kind of doing what the Muslims are doing, except they're peaceful, and the Muslims are doing it because they want to take over,
Right.
or the Islamification of America. So we've got like two things going on because, if you have 400 Indians that move into Indian River County, it changes the complete demographics. And that culture is mostly Democratic. They voted for Biden. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you're going to have a more socialistic voting base, Democratic, left leaning.
Yeah, either way you look at it, it's just two different shades of darkness
Yeah.
in your backyard. I mean, not that Hindus are dark, but here we go. We're back to an enclave or
Non-assimilation.
a cult community that, I mean, is not necessary.
Well,
If
it's
if
what
you
it
want to be
does.
American, be American, but you don't need to to do it this way and then try to strong arm communities or trick them into annexing your property just so you can get a better building permit. That's what they
Yeah.
were doing. They hit
Yeah.
every city council they could, including Fellsmere, because they just assumed they were dumb, and to annex the property. And they, thank God they didn't. Thank God a lot more people were paying attention out
The,
here.
the other thing that blows my mind is that Hindus are that mostly have assimilated, and they've been peaceful, and they're not a religion that wants to take over and hurt us. But it seems like everywhere the Islamic people go, the Hindus are there as well. They're all in Texas, building homes and living there. Now they're moving to Florida where the Islamification is happening. There's while I was doing the research on Venkatesh, trying to see what's going on, are there any relations? I found all of these um, uh, Islamic messages. They either call them a masjid or a mosque. They're both mean the same thing. All over Florida, we have one on US 1 in Fort Pierce that is now, it's so developed, it has enough participation and members that it's in search for an imam. And once the imam comes in, that's when he's really going to start pushing the Islamic way of thinking, the Sunni laws and the Quran laws and Sharia. So that one's growing. And then another one last year was built in Valrico, Florida, and it's got quite a bit of property, and they are so excited about expanding. I mean, they're coming in. And then
Yeah.
Tampa has the largest mosque out there, and they are openly advertising for Islamic folks to move to Florida because the voucher system is helping them with their schools, which is also the same system a similar system in Texas that they were using
Yep.
to help with their schools and Sharia education of their youth. And like that's how they're going to take over through the womb. You have all your women birth all these kids. They're the new generation. You start them young, learning Sharia law, learning the Sunni laws. I was reading some of the Sunni laws, and if women actually read through the Sunni laws, that is just horrific for women. And so it's
But they would only think so if you put the pages inside of a Bible, because otherwise they'd read it and they'd say that's wonderful.
I mean, it's
There is downsides to living in a free state, in a free country, unfortunately, but there's got to be limits, and you just see it. And that in 100 years from now, like you said, it'll be the landscape will look totally different.
Well, I think what needs to happen is because they're calling it a religion, and religion
Right.
is about love, Christ. It's about holiness. It's not about saying, if you don't follow my God, we're going to unalive you. We're going to do all these things. It's vicious where this leads to in the Quran and the Sunni and the Sharia, because it's not religion, and it should be designated a cult. And if it's designated a cult, it can no longer take advantage of the same things our schools can take advantage of, like the voucher system. The voucher system is for schools American education. This is a cult. And if it's a cult, it is not a religion. It's not, we're not going to fund private cults to teach
Right.
whatever they teach. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It
Well,
somehow.
part of the problem is they'll put a lot of effort into heavy control of Christians homeschooling or Christian school, but they don't have the courage or the willingness or the boldness and whatever else they're missing to go look into a Sharia law school and say, you can't teach that. That's not acceptable. That doesn't meet Florida standards, whatever standards, or
It
whatever state.
it
They
should have
don't
to
budge.
meet it should have to meet religious Judeo-Christian values. I mean, we just had Mandami, the second Muslim that I know of, swear in on the Quran.
Mhm.
What is the Quran?
It's not the
Well,
Constitution
You're right.
or the
It's not
Bible
American.
or the
Yeah.
but the
Bible.
ins- but you got to stop it. You got to unpack that a little bit. We swear on the Bible because it says, I believe in the Bible. I'm swearing in front of God And so I'm taking an oath that I entirely believe. Whereas the Quran says that it's perfectly fine to lie
Mm-hmm.
for the promotion and benefit of the Quran. So swearing in the Quran basically says, I'm going to tell you whatever I decide to tell you, and you can't hold me what I say because I'm going to tell you whatever I decide to tell you. It's sort of a farce because it is a written non-commitment to tell the truth.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Who's this guy? Speaking of, like, Florida with the illegals, this guy. Um, I'll play the video. Hold on one second.
That prohibits that. So our
Who's this
legislation will
guy?
ban illegal aliens from benefiting from any
Uh,
down payment assistance
I
programs
don't know.
or
He
silent
almost
second home
looks like
mortgages,
more.
whether it is done by
Right.
a government agency, a quasi-government agency, or an NGO.
It's so
Because
low.
some of these
is it?
nonprofits will go out and they will create these
I
programs
can barely
specifically
hear
to
it.
go out and target
Huh.
immigrants for down payment so they
That's
can
no
purchase
bueno.
homes. So we
This is
believe that's
he's
important.
talking about
On the
going
books,
after
we should have
illegal
more. Here's
immigrants,
what the state of Florida is
uh,
going to look like.
not
On the
letting
other
them
hand,
hold
on the
bank
books, they
accounts,
tried to
mortgages,
pass a
you
law
know,
that
any
Perfect.
said
loans,
if for some reason you do
licenses.
not have
If
sensible
they're illegal,
common
they
sense
shouldn't be
Yeah, I
able to
wonder
do
why.
any of
ability to
that.
control the state, it will prohibit illegal aliens from receiving any license issued by the Department of Financial Services. One of the things that we need to do as a state is we need to make sure that
Yeah, that's
when we are
horrible.
issuing licenses, that we need to check to make sure that they are in the country legally. But almost as important is to make sure that we can revoke any license that has been issued when they had legal status here, the law that prohibits that.
That
So
is
our legislation will
absolutely
ban
correct.
illegal.
I totally agree with that because when you go to get your license, you have to have like 3 forms of identification, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so why? Yeah, we shouldn't be honoring licenses from California, and then you have Tim Walz out there pretty much declaring war on the federal government, and it's just like, you know, why do we have to take shit from these other states? And literally, we shouldn't. You know,
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't be driving, you know? And every single place where you take your driver's license should be in English only. I'm sorry, if you have to read in a different language to get a license to drive a vehicle that can kill people, you you're not ready. You're not ready. You've got to assimilate and you've got to speak our language. And I remember Trump making an executive order saying English was the nation's language, our first language, but nobody follows that.
do you want to hear that? I've got a better version. I uploaded the wrong one. It's worth listening to, but let me swap it out though. Oh, it's
So
still up.
while you're doing that, the big issue is we got to review what a law is. In a city, a state, no one should be able to say, we're going to be a sanctuary against enforcing our laws. Whatever our laws are, there's a lot of them I don't agree with it, but they all should be enforced. And the idea that somebody can publicly broadcast it, that they're going to not only not enforce, but they're going to oppose laws, that they're going to go out and fight against and try and run over and murder, shoot rocks at
Mm-hmm.
officials, officers of the government who are lawfully who are executing the laws as we the people have written them. Those people we have to get over this stuff, and we have to jail those people, from
Mm-hmm.
governors to mayors to city people. If you are not going to enforce the law, you are abdicating the commitment you made to the Constitution, local and federal, and you should be prosecuted for that. No
It
one
makes
takes that seriously.
it makes sense that that's how it should be, but we're seeing all of these people in office and nothing happens to them. It's like if
That's
we
the thing.
broke those laws, if we did that, we would be paying the consequences for it.
Yep.
But even like Elon Omar, she's not paying any consequences for it. Or Rashid Tlaib, she's not paying any consequences for it. Or Maxine Waters, she didn't have to pay any consequences. It's like when how is it that they don't have to be accountable like we are? They're supposed to be representing us, so they should have the same consequences for those things that they do.
Exactly. And you used the magic word, which is at the core of the corruption and the downfall of our country, and that's consequences. We have been separating actions from consequences for decades. Certain actions are completely separated from the normal consequences as a result of those actions. You can now run down a police officer in the street and somebody else pays the consequences for that. Well, as we saw yesterday, sometimes the consequences come back and meet you in the face. And
Right.
the problem is we don't have immediate consequences following immediate actions enough so that people don't say, I'm not going to do that again. When you're a child, when you run to the table, you say, I'm going to be more careful. When you're a child adult and you get away with this crazy stuff and there are no consequences, that just encourages and lets them think that it's okay. And not only okay, they have the right to get away with these crazy things and not face the consequences. Someone else must face the consequences. That's the sickness in this country.
Yeah.
Well, and the scary thing is the judges, when they're not really following the law, when they're
Right.
letting these people go, like who's evaluating them and who's saying that you're not following the rubric on what you're supposed to be doing legally and by law and constitutionally. They do it unconstitutionally. They don't follow the law, or they literally will say in court, and I can't think of the judge, but they literally pretty much gave their opinion of the case before they even reviewed the case.
At
So,
least they're honest.
but how do you even do that and get a fair trial? You
Well, you
know?
don't.
You don't. That's the thing. And then I think that what it comes down to is it comes down to military laws and orders. And I think what you're going to see and probably going to happen at some point soon is that these governors and all these elected officials that you've been talking about that have been breaking the law and going against the Constitution, like Tim Walz in Minnesota, eventually some of these guys are going to end up getting perp walked by the military. Because that's the only way that you're going to get justice. You're not going to get justice in the Department of Justice and the Supreme Court with these people. It's not going to happen.
And that's the single most important thing that we got from Donald Trump. First,
Mhm.
first populating the Supreme Court with a probable majority of common sense, intelligent, honest, constitutional people. And the
Right.
second is starting to bring consequences as people did to him what they did to him because they were confident that there would be never be any consequences.
Exactly.
As some people start to fall, the fear of consequences, our Constitution doesn't function if we don't hold ourselves to the rules and the standards and the principles.
Yep.
We have officers just to prod you along, to catch the 5% of it, and keep everybody honest. But when they know they're not going to be kept honest, that there's not going to be consequences, when they push the envelope and the envelope breaks, then those who do not have principles have no restraints on the things that they will do
Mm.
for themselves and for their agenda.
And
That's
it
where we
just,
are.
there's so many people out there that lack principles and morality. It's
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
we're inundated with it, and it's such a battle these days. I mean, we can't even with all the advanced technology that we have. I mean, we've grown since the 60s and the 70s, and we know so much more because of technology and the advancement of education. People still think that the child inside a womb is not a human being. I mean, it's like society is just so challenging right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Do
they
you
don't. They don't. Go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
Mike.
I was going to ask you, did you want me to play that video again with a better volume?
Yeah, because I'm not sure everybody got to hear that. But he
Hopefully
was
this is
right on
that
point.
prohibits
He was
that.
so on
So
point.
our legislation will ban illegal aliens from benefiting from any down payment assistance programs or silent second home mortgages, whether it is done by a government agency, a quasi-government agency, or an NGO. Because some of these nonprofits will go out and they will create these programs specifically to go out and target illegal immigrants for down payment so they can purchase homes. So we believe that's important to be on the books because you never know what the future of the state of Florida is going to look like.
Well, we
I'd
got
rather
some of
have
the
it on the
message.
books than try to pass a law later if for some reason we do not have sensible, common sense people in control of the state. It will prohibit illegal aliens from receiving any license issued by the Department of Financial Services. One of the things that we need to do as a state is we need to make sure that when we are issuing licenses, that we need to check to make sure that they are in the country legally. But almost as important is to make sure that we can revoke any license that has been issued when they had legal status of a law that prohibits that. So our legislation will ban illegal aliens from benefiting from any down payment assistance programs or silent.
Just repeating himself now.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, that's the direction we want to go. I don't know who that is, though.
They didn't put his name
You
up.
have to report back to us.
Yeah, I'll try to figure it out. I don't know where it came from, to be honest with you. It sounded like somebody running for governor, though.
Yeah, that
I think
needs
that was the Florida Democratic Party leader.
Was it really?
Are you
No.
I'm
serious?
kidding.
No
No.
way. No way.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I was gonna say, oh, Fetterman must be getting to him now.
God, no.
Fetterman seems to be the only sensible Democrat these days.
He is. He'd make a great presidential candidate
For the Democrats, definitely.
for the Democrat. Yeah, and you know what? A lot of people in the middle of the road would be willing. It's like voting for your first black person. I'd vote for them just to have a reasonable Democrat in office. You know, because 30 years ago, people were reasonable. They had different ideas. They had different. Their priorities were a little higher. This principle is a little bit more important than that principle. We would discuss those things, but they've gone crazy, and so they're completely unreasonable and they're completely self-centered. And so you can't, you know, they've gone back to a very childish attitude, and you can't reason with an out of control child. And that's unfortunately what we're dealing with.
Yeah, yeah. I always say that if the Democrats really want to get back their Democratic Party, they need to look to Fetterman. And
Yep.
he's come a long way because remember he was in the hospital and then couldn't speak and like that.
But his excuse was he had a brain problem. He was cured of that. The rest of them still have their brain problem. And they're not being cured.
Yeah. What do you think, Mike?
I don't know. My internet's glitching here, so my screen froze for a minute. I don't know if, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're
Yep.
fine.
Yeah, this screen's getting sketchy, but that's all I got for this evening. I didn't want to keep anybody much. That was good information from the real estate guy, though. I did follow him on YouTube at the Florida Real Estate Insider. We've got a lot of breaking news. We were going to do just a regular news show this evening, but the news is moving so fast across the country. There's always
Oh my
There's
God.
always time to do more. Yeah.
Yep. You've got Minneapolis. You've got Minneapolis, Minnesota, Ohio.
Yeah.
Oregon. Oh my gosh, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys got anything else? The stage is yours.
Yeah, nope, I'm good.
That was a good show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good. It's good. So
Kevin,
you
thanks for joining us. Everybody at home, if you're watching, don't forget, follow us on Rumble, download the app, it's free. You can follow us for free. Sometimes subscriptions get gifted to premium, so you get some ad-free viewing on Rumble. That QR code is our Rumble wallet, where if you hold BTC or Tether or something like that, you can tip us there and try out the new Rumble wallet. It's pretty cool. And we wouldn't mind holding on to your crypto. And but besides that, give us a follow on YouTube, Facebook, X, Rumble, all the the spiel.
Yeah,
You guys
like
got
and
anything?
share, and we had the conspiracy club last night, so you guys come on out next month, second
Yep.
Thursday of the month. John Karapi runs that conspiracy club. It's a whole lot of fun, to talk about all these different conspiracies. So we'll see you there.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Have a
Yeah.
good weekend.
Good night. Have a good weekend.
Night.
Yep.
it's not letting me transition us out. So if you want to switch us over to the intro, and we'll end it after that runs.
All right.
Indian River Connections brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more.